I'm going to show you how to make the beet and bean burger patties. And we're very sorry, we've left off the beans off the recipe. So if you've got a pen, you can add beans as I go through this recipe. This recipe is just a combination of beetroot, and as long as you've got one of these, you can make it happen. So you don't have to have this expensive one, a kitchen whiz will do, but this has been a real lifesaver here for this program, for many, many different Nourish programs, because it just whips up a storm in no time. It's a commercial blend. You probably heard me raving on about it already if you've been here more than one night. So you can follow the recipe along, because I haven't got one here, but I can pretty much see all my ingredients and know what I'm doing. But I'm going to put, everything just goes in the blender, but so I'm adding some onions in first. Before I use the blender, I've actually put the beetroot through, peeled, fresh beetroot. This is 4 smallish ones. And I'm putting them, I grate them in this thing first, and then I clean it out and put the different blade in. So it's got a grater attachment. And did anyone enjoy the carrot salad tonight? Because that was all put through, the carrots were all put through here as well. Fine grater. Yeah. Okay, so here's the beetroot going in. And I like the liquid to go in sort of like about now. So I don't know whether we wrote the recipe in order, but I've got a Massel beef stock here that's just dissolved in a little bit of water, but not totally. So I'm putting that down in the bottom. But in the recipe it says when you soak your bulgur wheat, you can add a cube of Massel beef stock, and that is, of course, plant-based. Anybody who not familiar with this product, countdown, but it reads well and it gives the flavour boost to the food. But I haven't used a whole lot in this mix, just a little bit of a boost, along with about 1/4 cup of tamari, or you can use the reduced sodium soy sauce, whatever you like. Tamari's better, but it reads better, or you can get into coconut aminos, which even read better still, which my husband swears by. My husband's not here tonight, sadly, so he can't carry on with this wee talk, but we have got a wee feature, little health talk, feeding into what else is coming up soon as a program. So for anybody who wants to know where Gordon is, he's floating around on the Hauraki Gulf, I guess, just out at the Whangarei Heads on a yacht. He's waking up to dolphins every morning and ringing me saying, "Having a wonderful time, my dear, wish you were here." I said, well, you know what, everybody at Nourish needs some food, so I've got to stay here. But beyond that, I was in Rotorua this weekend doing some workshops on plant-based eating and the depression recovery program that I run. So another reason why I couldn't join him. Okay, so I've put the tamari in there, I've got the onions, I've got the beetroot, I've got the beef stock. I'm going to put some nutritional yeast flakes, which are really good for vitamin B. The B vitamins are really good for stress management, nerves, and if you're stressed, you need to make sure you're feeding on B vitamins. And one of these ingredients has B vitamins, so it's the red kidney beans. So I've got a can of red kidney beans in here, which would be a cup of cooked beans if you were doing it yourself. But do you know what I got? 6 cans for about $4 at Countdown. Yeah, I mean, you can't beat that, can you? Beans are just such a good food. They're loaded with vitamin A, D, E, B, and C, and high in iron, calcium, fibre, protein, cobalamin, magnesium. What more do I need to say? Wonder food. Did you even know you were eating beans tonight? No. You can even disguise them if you don't particularly like them. All right, and into that as well, I'm adding some bulgur wheat. And if Gina was here, Gina, I'd love you to come up and tell us. She's busy eating, aren't you? Can you zoom up, and Craig will give you the mic, because she was going to come up and talk about the food value and some of the food we're doing here. And Gina knows all about bulgur wheat, so. Yes, drained. Yeah, take the brine off, run it through a sieve. Okay, Gina, tell us about bulgur wheat.
So bulgur wheat is the grains of wheat, which are roughly chopped up into about 3 bits per grain, something like that. Then it's lightly cooked, boiled, and then dried. And that's what you buy when you buy bulgur wheat. And then what you do is you just put a ratio 1 to 2. So you've got 1 cup of bulgur wheat, the dried wheat, and 2 cups of boiling water, and you just put them together, and you leave it for 20 minutes, and it's all absorbed, and that's as cooked as it is, and you can flavour it any way you like. You can put in lots of garlic, lemon, herbs, salt, and flavour however you like. Mm-hmm. And it's a good versatile base. It's a whole grain, so it's good.
So also, do you want to I've got the details of the other.
I can't see that, sister.
Now,
can't see that.
Can't you? All right. Well, Craig's going to put a slide up. Can you do that now? So I'm putting who knows what psyllium husks are? Psyllium husk. Oh, some of you do. So you know what, we did a recipe ages ago, a dessert recipe that seemed to require a lot of it. So there was a whole lot left over because it didn't require a lot of it at all. But it's used as a binder. But it actually comes from this plant here, which is
Recognise that in your garden? It's a weed, and we call it a weed. We actually, on our farm, this is in amongst the grass mix, the herb mix that the sheep eat. But would you know it? It's good for us too.
So
and these little seeds.
What's it called, Gina?
Plantago.
Yeah, so
or plantain,
genus Plantago. Yeah.
Plantago or plantain.
So that's where the psyllium husk comes from. Yeah, and it's used like, you buy products like Massel, and it's got the psyllium husk in it. Yeah. So anyway, it is also a very good binder. So normally with patties, if you didn't know how to bind your food, you'd be using eggs. So I've got some linseed in here, which is high in what? Who knows? Omega-3s, yeah, which are other essential nutrients. Our doctor that you're going to have a wee listen to for 15 minutes tonight speaks very highly recommends that we should have linseed every day, ground, up to 3 tablespoons.
And it has to be ground, doesn't it? If you just
it has to be ground.
Yeah.
You can't have it whole.
Well, it doesn't benefit you as much if you don't grind it. Yeah.
So the other one that I wanted to focus on, food value. I've talked about the food value of beetroot. So it's packed with essential nutrients, and they're a great source of fibre, folate, manganese, potassium, iron, and vitamin C.
Especially so iron is good, isn't it?
I'm putting some sage in there. That's a magic herb I've only really started using as a sort of savoury. You're used to sage and stuffing, aren't you? Who tasted the sage tonight? Did you taste? Did you recognise the flavours? Anyway, now there's ginger and garlic going in here. And the ginger, like my husband, of course, who doesn't like anything spicy or hot, and detects the slightest bit of thing. Have I got my lid there? Yes, I have. He can do ginger. Ginger's got a zing and it's got some heat. It's very good food. In fact, I haven't researched the whole food value of ginger, but we know garlic's a natural antibiotic, very good for boosting the immune system, and I'm sure ginger would work the same way. So this is how quickly this is going to whiz up. Bear with me, you can chat if you like, if you can hear yourself.
There's not much wet ingredients in there, and yet it blends together well, doesn't it?
Pardon?
There's not a lot of wet ingredients that you put in, really.
You don't need to.
No, yeah. The beans probably moisten it.
But I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just all blends up. My last ingredient in a minute is wholemeal breadcrumbs. Can you hear me okay? For the gluten-free people, we're using, instead of bulgur wheat, quinoa. And gluten-free flour for rolling the patties in, and actually I haven't used any breadcrumbs for the gluten-free patties. They're a little bit more moist and a little bit harder to work with, but pretty easy. But you can get your gluten-free breads and you can make some crumbs yourself. We're just about there.
It goes down to half the size, doesn't it? It was full
Yeah.
when you started.
Okay, so I'm going to say that's done, and then I'm just going to transfer a little bit. I'm not going to bore you with making patties, but this honestly, depending on what size you want your patties, it'll make up to 20 patties, and seriously, it probably doesn't cost you much more than $5 or $10. So, I mean, how's that? Substantial, nutritious. What else can we say about it?
Inexpensive.
Tasty, nutritious, delicious.
But quite meaty, I thought. It's quite a meaty texture, I thought.
Meaty.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a beef steak or beef mince patties or something. Okay, just finishing off now. I'm going to make one patty, but I'm just going to mix in some breadcrumbs because that just makes it workable. And I should have some gloves on, forgive me, but my hands are clean. So we're just going to mix that in a little bit. Can we see? Oh yeah, you can. Very good. And then simply you decide what size patty you want. You know, maybe you will buy those burger buns and turn them into a burger.
Do you bake them or fry them?
So they're just lightly fried in a little bit of olive oil, just flip-flop, and then you can just reheat in the oven. So I'm just going to go like that. So this is as simple as that. Roll it in a bit of flour, and then we just have it flip-flop, you know, a couple of minutes, both sides, done and dusted.
So the gluten-free ones,
There you go.
do you roll them in a bit of maize corn flour or something like that?
Yes, gluten-free.
Yeah.
Gluten-free flour. Okay, that's it.